Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the Imaging USA mega massive show in the United States where things are happening in the background that you would not believe. Your host, Kirsten Lutz, it has been confirmed, is actually Superman. That's right. We thought he was a mild-mannered photographer slash musician, but the reality is he's been saving babies from falling off burning buildings for years. He's the man that has lifted cars from pregnant women to pull out their dead grandma. He is the superhero you know as Superman. Look at him. He's over here. He is just talking on the phone. Is he just doing something that's normal? No, he's actually talking to the president of Uzbekistan, where there's an uprising right now. He's about ready to put on his cape and fly around and save thousands of lives. This man is responsible for peace on Earth. It is Kirsten Lutz.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Camera Shake podcast, coming to you directly from Imaging USA in Nashville, Tennessee. It's one of the best trade shows that I've ever been at. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you around. I'm going to show you what's happening at the show. We're going to talk to some of the exhibitors. We're going to talk to lots of photographers, lots of friends of the show, lots of former guests. This should be a really interesting episode. So follow me as we explore Imaging USA 2026. I'm here with Joe McNally at Imaging USA in Nashville. Good to see you in the flesh.
Yeah, no, it's a great, listen to it in the background. The show's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've been coming to shows like this for many years. Why do you think it's important that people make the effort and join, shows like this, Imaging, the photography show in London? Why do you think that's so important?
I think personal presence is really, really important. I think so much of our community is online that we're missing that human contact a bit. Yeah. And also I feel these shows are a really good expression of the photo community because obviously the manufacturers are here. They'd like us to use and buy the gear, but there's also a lot of sharing. They offer a lot of education, and there's a lot of back and forth. This has always been a pass-it-on industry. So people at these shows are literally doing that. They're passing it on, their knowledge, their wisdom, their experience.
Yeah, because I think we live in a world of, in an age of AI and everything's digital and everything is behind a screen and removed. I feel like coming to places like this and actually talking to manufacturers and touching and feeling the gear is just as important as taking in all the education. Now, I know you're busy at the show. What is it you're doing this year?
Well, I'm lecturing for the ASP at their booth. Last night, they gave me their international award, which was a great honor. And it was a wonderful evening, very fancy, tuxedo, first time in a long time.
Oh yeah, I caught you at the bar.
yes, exactly. And so it was just a fun night, and it's, as I say, it's a good expression of the photo community, which I've always believed in for many years.
Right. Fantastic. Joe, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, be good, man.
See you later.
Yep.
I'm here with Lindsay Adler. Lindsay, great to meet you. Your talk was all about AI editing. How far do you think that technology has come, and how do you see the future of image editing develop?
I got to be honest, sometimes I feel really bad for retouchers because the amount of work that I would have sent out to a retoucher 2 years ago, it's probably 10% now. AI retouching is great because it saves me time, it does a good job, but also when I am showing images to clients, even if they're proofs, they're not the finals, I want them to look like my work, which means they need to look polished. So now, because I can pop things into a program like Profoto, for a couple of cents, have it retouched, I think it's a better experience for the client start to finish.
One thing you talked about in your talk, one of the things you mentioned earlier was that you send out kindness to your clients. So a bulk set of images that have been run through Profoto that give people a really good impression as to what the final is going to look like. Do you then go back into Profoto to finalize the shots, or do you then hand retouch the final images?
Sure. So it does depend on the image. For the most part, it's still Profoto, but it's going to be things like if I need to do additional color grading or fixing the hair in a different way. Like I'm doing batch process the first time through, but then the second time through, I'm going to pay a lot more attention to each image. So some will need more attention outside the program, but I think like 80% of it I still can achieve in Profoto.
Yeah. It strikes me that this technology has come on in like giant leaps and bounds over the last even just year.
So fast, yeah. It was, well, here's the thing that I think is amazing is I'll say to someone, let's just say I'll do a technique. They're like, oh, I didn't quite get it right. I'm like, you wait a couple months and it probably will be. Like they come out with updates constantly, and so I don't know. I think this is one of the good things about working with a company that is advancing is you can give them feedback, and then you actually get what you want, not these other like crazy plugins that you'll never use. So yeah, I would say like literally, I think it would be over 2 years from it's 10% of what I outsource now.
Yeah. The thing about Evoto, and I'm in the middle of a little competition with Mark Wallace on this, by the way. The thing that fascinates me about Evoto is the fact that you can tether straight into it, and you can apply those adjustments directly to your basically straight out of camera image. Sure. Do you see a world in which we literally just press the button and the end result is the final thing?
I mean, I think there's probably situations where it already is that, especially people who are doing events or like they're shooting at where there's many people coming through for headshots, right? Now, when I'm creating work, it's much more bespoke individual pieces of art. So I'm not trying to shoot and have it be done. Like I pay attention to every pixel and I'm doing a lot more than that. But I think for a lot of photographers, it's probably pretty close to here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very well known for your style and for your expertise when it comes to retouching, and you've done that for a long time. Did you have to sort of adjust your style when you started using Evoto, or was it really easy, in a sense, to replicate what you were doing already, just with a massive time saver?
Sure. Well, I think there's two parts of it. One is if something wasn't quite up to my speed of how I wanted it to look for retouch, usually it would catch up. But until that time, then I would take that part into Photoshop. But no, I wouldn't compromise on my style. Like if something wasn't looking like me, I would still hand retouch it or I would send it out to a retoucher. So I know when it's really giving me what I want and when I need to do some external tweaks.
Yeah. Where is it lacking? Are there any areas where you're thinking, well, I wish it could do that? Or are we actually... has it landed? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I'm a very needy, demanding person. There's always more things that I want. So like saying like we're there, you'll never hear that out of my mouth. Yeah. I still think we need certain things to rebuild. So like rebuilding the edge of hair. I want a button that once it cleans up the strays, it then draws in a smooth edge. Like something like that I think would be really helpful. There's regularly things where I'm like, I hope someone else has mentioned this. And I'm like, wait, I should just tell them.
Yeah. Fantastic. Lindsay, thank you so much. And we will be back on the floor right after this.
Right, I'm here with Ellis Wiener. Ellis, you are a lot taller in real life.
Yes, I am. My parents put me on a rock when I was a kid. It started off very small and ended up here.
Cool. What would your advice be for people who've never been at a show like Imaging before? What would your advice be to somebody coming here for the first time?
Well, the first thing they should do is look at the agenda, see which speakers they want to hear, which photo walks or which events they want to do, and then go to those, take lots of notes. And when they come into the expo, cruise around, see what you're interested in. Don't get locked into just one thing and then miss other things because it's easy to burn out. There's so much gear. So make notes of who you want to come back to and talk to.
I sometimes feel that when people think about shows like this, they're so very gear orientated, and think of it as like a equipment gear first type of thing. But there is a ton of education going on here.
There is. And while there are presentations in the booth, it's the seminars and the longer form ones. Like yesterday, I spent 3 or 4 hours in a Profoto multi-light seminar with, I think, Peter Carpenter, who's a Profoto ambassador. And I've been doing photography professionally since 1984. And I think I know a fair amount about lighting. And I still learned some things, not just about the Profoto gear, but about ways of thinking about light. And I imagine Adobe's things with Katrin Eisman and other spokespeople. It's not just about selling the particular product. It's about finding what you need that's useful for what you do as a photographer.
Have you seen anything on the show this far that you would say is groundbreaking for 2026?
Well, there's this platypod product, but I can't talk about it right now because it's still under NDA. Groundbreaking, the software is still evolving rapidly. I think in the photography community, and among clients, I think there's starting to be a pushback on AI imaging. AI is a very helpful tool when editing, but I think people are also becoming very wary about it because they go, it's fake, and people want more authentic.
How are we gonna indicate to somebody looking at an image online, let's say, how are we gonna indicate that a particular image was made with AI or not?
That's going to become increasingly hard to tell as the products. Initially, for the first year or two, there have been obvious tells, like somebody having 6 fingers on their hand instead of 5, or it just looks a little wonky. That is going to be smoothed down. That's the way progress works. As it comes out, it's a little crude, it's sold heavily, it's hyped heavily, and then it evolves to a more useful tool. I think part of the problem is that it kills advertising. But it's also going to be here for forever, and after a while it's just going to be accepted that everything is faked. And if you're a photojournalist, that's a problem. If you're an advertising commercial photographer, that's not a problem, because we're there to make images which sell our clients' products. Whether the product is a service, a physical item, or hardware, or a personality, like headshots. In terms of what PPA's market is for portrait photography, I think there's going to be a real kickback right now against AI headshots, where, for last year we saw people saying you don't need a photographer, you just take several selfies of yourself and we'll make an idealized headshot of you. Well, that's great, but it doesn't look like you. And if you go into an interview, people are going, that's not you. On the other hand, if you're a law firm, how often are you going to have headshots generated? Are you going to have a photographer come in every year or two to photograph all of your people all over again because they're changing? And we've known for years that people have, like, okay, this is Ellis Wiener. Well, if I show a headshot of me from 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and then they meet me, there's a distrust. And the thing that we have to build as photographers is trust, is getting our clients' audiences to trust who we are in the photo and who someone is in the photo. Like, if I looked at you 10 years ago, you didn't look like this. You might have. I don't know.
I wish I had.
Yeah. But we all age. Yeah. And we want to look better. Also, with the advent of, like, the weight loss drugs and people losing weight, I know a terrific person in Atlanta who looks completely different now than the way I've known her for the past 20 years, because she's done that. She looks fabulous, but she doesn't look like who my expectation of her was, and my expectation is changing. The AI portrait tools are sort of like those weight loss drugs.
I had a really interesting conversation, I remember last year, about headshots, and I think the connotation was that what AI is going to do is it's going to bottom out the low cost, like the low price market. Those people who don't want to spend a lot of money on headshots,
Right.
they might use a cheap app, for $2.95 or something,
Yeah.
And it might just mean that headshot photographers will just have to reevaluate what they do and how they do it and how they price themselves in the market.
Yeah, well, there are AI tools which are useful for, like I do corporate headshots where we have a couple hundred people come in over a day or two to do headshots. Anything I can do to streamline that workflow is going to be good, but I'm not going to take 50 shots and then sit there while a computer processes to make an idealized one. I'm still want to direct them to be their best selves in front of the camera, choose that one, and then you use AI tools to help me retouch faster and more efficiently. But that's different from AI generated images.
It's interesting. We're still talking about AI in 2026, but I feel the conversation is a very different one from the one that we had a year ago. There doesn't seem to be as much fear around. I think confidence and trust in authenticity is definitely back. With that, Ellis, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, man.
Kirsten, thank you. I hope you enjoy your stay. And what have you found good to eat here in Nashville?
Well, I'm new to Nashville. I haven't been here before. I'm experiencing it for the first time, and I'm loving it so far.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It's an interesting city.
Fantastic. And with that, we're back on the floor. Hey, I'm here with Scott Niedermeyer over at the Tether Tool stand. Scott, you've got some phenomenal stuff this year.
We've got some great new products out. We came out with our new AeroTrack table. We have a whole lineup of new stuff coming throughout the course of the year. But the thing we're really excited about this year is the AeroTrack. And this is our new workstation for when you're on location. It gives you a place to put your laptop, hold it down, attach your accessories. This one's set up funny here because I have one right side up and one upside down. And really, I just wanted to show all the accessories that you can put on it. So it has feet, it has a cup holder, action straps, step straps. The really cool thing about it is that it folds in half. So when I'm done at the end of the day, I can fold that up in half, goes in a bag, makes it super light and portable. The other thing is it's completely customizable. As you can see, it's cold shoe, right? So there's a million cold shoe accessories. And then you can build it out the way that you want based upon your workflow, your needs. The third coolest thing is the owners decided to leave it open source. So if anybody wants to 3D print their own files, they can go to tethertools.com/creator. They can get the data and start 3D printing their own files.
Yeah. I love this whole concept because, as you well know, this episode is sponsored by Platypod, and we love tools that you can attach things to. Whoops. So, where did the idea for this AeroTrack come from?
Oh, the idea was Tether Tools had the original Tether Tools table, which was the first one to market years ago. And just listening to customer feedback and, going, well, it's great, but it's not very portable. And I want something that folds in half. And why can't I attach more accessories? And so the owner of our company spent the last 3 years and about 37 editions, building and refining and going through and tweaking. And this is the final result, and it's based on customer need, customer feedback, and what we can deliver to them as a company who genuinely cares about photographers and their workflow and what they're doing.
There are a lot of really clever little, gizmos on here. Just talk me through some of these things and what you can attach with those.
So the various things we have, the first things are going to be the tech clamps, and these are designed to slide into the track and hold your laptop down. So they attach to the side of your laptop so that when you're moving, if it gets bumped, your laptop doesn't go flying off. Right? If you look at the other stations, you can see all our laptops are clamped down.
Yeah.
I also have a set of these that I use to hold a hard drive on the other side. So I'll use, like a Samsung or a SanDisk hard drive, and I lock it in, and then it just lives there. And that way I have a place to plug in for my backup. When we look at the other accessories, of course, you have your cup holder, right?
Totally necessary.
Which I got my cup holder right here. So a cup holder, accessory holder, put your car keys, put your water bottle, whatever. These are our action straps, and I have this one set up to hold an external battery. Right. So, as I'm on location, I'm not carrying around a big bulky battery. I'm not looking for electricity. I've got a battery there, and I can plug my laptop in or my computer, charge my batteries. These are the feet. So if I'm not working on a tripod, I can take it off of here, stick it down on a table, and the feet, with all my accessories, and now I'm not having to remove accessories in order to work off of a tabletop. Yeah. This is a hook, which is designed to hold your cable or other things, and the really nice thing about it is when you go to put it away, it stays put away.
Yeah, it's those little things that really make a difference.
Minor details. And then, of course, on the cup holder, when we put it away, it has this nice little magnet right there, so it holds it flat.
Fantastic. There's, one of the things that I use like an old-fashioned laptop stand, which I've hated ever since I got it, actually. But things,
you gotta upgrade.
I am looking at it. Things like being able to, somehow safely put your hard drive away are super important, and you don't really think about it when you first think about, I just have to I need something to put my laptop on. It's all the other stuff that need to have a safe place to live. And the studio environment is busy, people are walking past. And
things get bumped.
Yeah, things get off, stuff.
100%. I mean, like for me, when I built mine out, I put a second set of these back here, and I'll hold my hard drive there, and that one lives with this workstation. Right? So it never comes off. And that way I'm going to my laptop, I'm going to my hard drive, right? And then I'll automate another backup that'll go in a bag or go someplace separate, right? At the end of the day, I'm really big on data management, right? And as I'm shooting over the course of the day, making sure that I'm backing up at lunchtime, backing up at the end of the day, really clean on my workflow. So I'm shooting tethered to my laptop, and then from there, I'm dropping my data to multiple hard drives. And like I said, I have one that lives on there just permanently. That way I always know that I have an additional backup in case something happens, in case electricity strikes and my computer gets fried. Like, who knows?
And as a base, you can use a tripod, you could use a light stand maybe, or a C-stand?
100%. So right now, this is our all-in-one kit, which comes with the table, the wheels, the 4-head crossbar, 2-head crossbar, or you can put it like a baby ball adapter on the bottom of this and stick it on a low boy roller, which is what we have on our kit over here, or you can go on like a low C stand or, a pig stand. You know what I mean? Like, it's really adaptable, very, very versatile, based on where you're going, what location, and what tools you have to set it up on.
Yeah, and I love the fact that there's all sorts of other brackets that allow you to attach it in different ways to a C-stand. This will come in very handy when I'm recording my podcast, the video version of it.
100%.
Because I've got so much crap on the floor that I need to get off of the floor,
Yeah. I like versatility and I like portability, right? And we love having it all set up, but the reality is all of us are working in smaller and smaller studios. Not everybody has, a 15,000 square foot studio to work in. And so being able to take it out, set it up based upon your needs for that day, and then at the end of the day, it packs up nice and neat, goes in the closet, goes in the bag, goes back in the trunk of the car, especially if you're traveling and doing location work.
And for those of you listening or watching from the UK, you know how small rooms are in the UK, so you definitely need to look at that very seriously. Scott, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Enjoy the show, everybody. Come by Tether Tools, booth 711 if you want to say hi.
All right, and that's us at the Tether Tools stand, and we'll be back on the floor in just a second. Hey, let me just jump in real quick to tell you about the amazing sponsor of this episode, Platypod. Platypod offers innovative camera support systems designed to unleash your creativity. With their stable, versatile, and portable solutions, you can capture stunning shots like never before. And I'm not just saying that. As the host of the Camera Shake podcast, I can personally vouch for Platypod's incredible products. They've become an integral part of the show. In fact, I'm surrounded by various Platypod products holding up lights, cameras, microphones, and so on. It's really helped to transform the way I make the show and the way I shoot at home, in the studio, and on location. But don't just take my word for it. Explore Platypod's website at www.platypod.com to discover their range of products, including the Platypod Extreme, Platypod tripod heads, and the brand new handle, of course. Make sure to follow Platypod on Instagram and Facebook at Platypod Tripods for exclusive updates, tips, and giveaways. By choosing Platypod, you're not only investing in your photography, but you're also supporting the Camera Shake Photography Podcast. Thanks again to Platypod, our amazing sponsor. Platypod, where innovation never sleeps. Right, I'm here with Jen Stitt. Jen, great to see you again. We keep meeting at these conventions.
I know, it's weird. We go to all these places and we run into each other in not our home state or home country even. Yeah. So welcome.
Thank you. Well, welcome to my home country because you're over to London on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm headed out tomorrow morning actually to go see all your people.
Cool. So you're joining another convention over in London. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing there.
So, I'm over in London. I'm going to be at SWPP, which is the Society of Wedding and Portrait Photographers. I have 2 classes that I'm teaching there. One on, that's a really good question. I'm teaching on the importance of editing your images, as well as a couple AI tricks that you can use in your social media.
Yeah.
I'm also there for print competition, like an actual physical, we print things out and we look at them with judges and we give them a score. So I get to take in all the awesomeness of print competition and see all my friends.
Now, this is an interesting point because at the beginning of this year, I sent out a message to former guests of the podcast to basically give me an impression of what they thought 2026 would bring in terms of photography, the industry, all that kind of stuff. And of course, everybody was talking about AI. But in contrast to the previous year, it wasn't a kind of fear-filled sort of thing. It was more like, authenticity is back, and I think photographers will have to focus on being authentic and trustworthy and all the rest of it. And Joe McNally mentioned print, and that's a really interesting take on it. Do you think that as we move into 2026, things like prints will become more important again?
Yes. The answer is yes, period, end of quote. Our clients, at least from my business, are looking for the things they can leave for their kids. They grew up looking through their mom and dad's wedding album. They grew up looking at pictures on a wall. They grew up looking at things that were in their home. So they want to have those things that they leave for their kids and that they are planning ahead for all of their future. It's refreshing to have the realness back in our industry with having physical things and prints and things not just existing in digital form.
Yeah, and I think that extends not to just the traditional, wedding photographers, but actually across the board. It's nice to see print making a comeback.
I agree, completely. Yes, end of statement, period. Yes, let's print everything. Let's print every single digital photo we can for our clients.
They heard it here first. Print everything, print as much as you can. Jen, I know you've got a busy day. Thank you so much.
So good
and
to see you.
And I will see you at TPS in Birmingham in a few months.
Let's do it.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
I'm here with Mark Rosonico, the president of Profoto US. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. It's going great, thanks.
How's the show going for you so far?
It's a good show. It's a solid show. It's one of the few shows a year that we still come to that still performs and it really good.
For a company of Profoto's reputation, why is it important to be at shows like this?
I think it's important every year as new customers, new photographers start getting in, new image creators start getting in, just to make sure they're aware of the products that are out there and give them the tips and tools they need, to create the most beautiful images.
Let's talk about Profoto's sort of latest products. What have you got in store for photographers out there?
So we're branching back into continuous light. So we have LED products, and we've also updated our line of flash products. So we have a new flashes with the B20 and B30, which are, I wish I had it right here to show you. But they're more modernized versions of some of the past things. Better performance, smaller, lighter, faster. The next generation.
What's behind the move into constant light? Is that attracting hybrid shooters, video shooters, or is it specifically for still shooters?
So one of the things that makes Profoto special is we really listen to what the market says, and we try to react. We don't dictate the way you should light things. We want to create the tools for you to light things the way you want. So for years it's been a slow shift. Now it's a much faster shift to continuous light, and we want to make sure that we're part of it. We want to make sure that we have a system that makes sense. So when you invest in Profoto, you stay in Profoto for your entire life, and that's why when you look at the continuous lights we have, all the accessories that we use for flash also work on the continuous lights. So you're able to go back and forth from one world to the other if you want to shoot hybrid. If you want to completely transfer over to LED, you can. And everything you've already bought works. And if you say maybe down the road, 5 years from now, I'll switch to LED, your investments you're making now are still solid.
Now, Profoto has been a leading lighting brand for many years now. What sets it apart from other brands?
I think the strategic. One of the things that makes Profoto special, and it's the philosophy that goes behind the product. So we started in 1968 making products for fashion rental. So for big fashion shoots for the major fashion magazines. And in that world, everything's got to be very simple because when an assistant comes into rent, it's just got to be very intuitive how to work it. And we've carried that philosophy through everything we've made. So when you look at a Profoto Flash, even the latest one, it works in a very, very intuitive way. it's got to be very durable because, for things in rental, they get destroyed. If you've ever rented a car, you know what you do to it. So, the same thing happens with flash when it's rented. So it's really important that the stuff is durable. Nothing ever fails when it's sitting in your closet. It only fails when it's on a job. So the reliability that when you set up and you're going to do a shoot with Profoto, it's going to work. And that's a critical thing. And we also want that interchangeability of, as I said earlier, all the reflectors and all the accessories that work with the stuff that we made in '68 still work with the stuff that we make now, and it works with the stuff that we're planning in the future. Those are the cornerstones of what Profoto is really about.
Yeah, I tell you what I love. I love the fact that Profoto seems to really take to heart, what photographers, especially pro photographers, are thinking and what their needs are. I'm thinking like one of the best modifiers I've gotten hold of in years is the Click softbox, because it folds together. It's so light, and I can take it anywhere. It's a brilliant product for what I do.
Yep. Well, today's world, everyone wants lighter, smaller, faster, brighter. That's, the old days of having a portrait studio and scheduling full-time sessions in your place. Those days for the most people are really gone, and it's a lot of stuff on location. So being able to put a studio in a backpack and have 3 or 4 lights and light shapers and accessories, being able to put it together and take it apart very quickly, with like the Click softbox where it's one hand and it snaps together. It's important. That's we're just making things that are being driven by the demands of the market. We're trying to make a photographer's life easier to create the images they want to create.
You've actually succeeded entirely with myself on that.
Thank you. We're never done. It's always a work in progress, because by the time we come up with the one thing, the next thing is already working, and that's really why I'm at the show. I want to understand from the speakers what they're doing, what their pros and cons are, what's working and what's not working in their workflows, because that's the feedback for the next generation of products.
Let's talk about modifiers for a second. What's new, what's coming up in 2026 in the world of modifiers?
I'd love to tell you, but I can't. we have a very, very full plate of new products being introduced always. And 2026 is not going to be an exception. But right now, we don't really like to talk about new stuff until it comes to life.
Yeah. Do you see changes in the types of modifiers that photographers prefer? Are there trends? Is it like a thing that changes like fashion?
There's a 5-year cycle of hard light to soft light. So right now we're riding with the Click softbox, the new softbox, we're riding that soft light trail. And eventually, at some point, it's going to go back to harder light sources. And of course, we have some of the best spotlights. We have hard-sided reflectors that are really unique. And then we have some new collapsible parabolic hard reflectors that are also really nice. So again, you get into it now and you're in the soft light and the market starts changing and you need to change. You don't have to replace all your lights. We have the accessories that you need.
Fantastic. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time. And there's lots of new stuff coming out in 2026 from Profoto, so make sure you keep your eyes open on that. And when things launch, I'm pretty sure we'll have Mark back on the show to tell us more about everything that's hot in 2026. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you.
I'm here with Jerry Gionis. Jerry.
Yes.
How's the show going for you?
I love it. I mean, any organization that lifts up photographers and helps them out, I absolutely love. I've been a member at PPA for, I think, over 20 years, but I'm loving it. I'm walking around the halls and meeting old friends, making new ones, visiting vendors, touching and feeling products and services. I love it.
Have you been speaking at the show?
I'm a civilian this time, so normally I would way in advance organise all that kind of stuff, but it's just great. I'm here in a different capacity, so yeah.
Now, people know you as, of course, the wedding photographer, but I remember when we had a chat on the show last time, you talked to me about your portrait photography.
Sure.
Give us a little bit of an insight into what you do when you're not shooting weddings.
Well, that's a funny thing. I shot weddings my whole career, and I still shoot them, but I don't really canvas them anymore. I don't market them. They come.
Yeah.
But I do way more portraits and commercial work, especially for the last 5-6 years, and fashion work. I really enjoy it. I mean, weddings are great, but I feel like I'm not challenged as much as I was. Don't get me wrong. A wedding is really challenging to shoot, and storytelling and just working under adversity and whatever, but I find more joy these days in freedom, where you can play a little bit more, you have a little bit more time. So, being able to photograph a portrait, a client, I'm obsessed with performers now in Vegas, so I'm becoming known in the local sort of circles, and so I'm really enjoying my portraiture and my fashion work at the moment, so yeah.
What tip would you give somebody up here? I'm booked to shoot a wedding, all right? I have maybe shot a handful of weddings. I'm by no means a professional wedding photographer whatsoever. What's your number one tip for somebody like me?
Okay, this is going to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's true. a shit shot is better than no shot.
That's absolutely right.
In other words, people will say, I want to shoot a wedding, and they think they know. And it's such a responsibility. People don't see it. I think many people don't see it as a responsibility that you have to know the must-have shots. How you get them. Let's say you got a bad photograph of grandma. At least you've got it. So you might be a 20-something-year-old, whatever, 30, doesn't matter, whatever age you get into it. But you go in and you just, it's a wedding, I'll document history. But there are many weddings that I've photographed that I said to myself, I'm struggling, and I've been doing it for over 3 decades. If I wasn't here and someone in experience was here, how would they capture this wedding? Time constraints, weather constraints, different personalities. You have to be everything. You have to shoot a wedding. You take a veil off, it's a headshot, it's a portrait. Take a clothes off, it's boudoir. There's family portraits, there's pets, there's streetscapes, there's landscapes, there's fashion, there's photojournalism. So I think that the homework should be, what are the shots that I have to get to tell this story? As an example, without being long-winded, you go to the bride's house. The bride on her own, front, back, full length, 3/4, close-up. The bride with mum, bride with dad, bride with mum and dad, bride with mum and dad and siblings, bride, mum and dad and siblings and spouses, bride, mum and dad and siblings and spouses and kids, the bride with each bridesmaid, with bride with all the bridesmaids, detail shots, walking out of the house, going to the car, walking out. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's not even including the creative part of it. So, a lot of people think the answer is quantity. Let me just rattle off a few thousand images and hope for the best. There's so many people out there with many genres that photograph images they know they're going to delete. Like, you're literally saying in your brain, this is a really shitty shot, so let me take it. Like, you're going to delete it. Why would you take it? Quantity is not going to make up for missing a story. So it's control the controllables, but give yourself the time and don't be dictated by your clients as to what they think they want. And most photographers make the mistake of not giving themselves enough time with the way they price their packages, which is a big no-no. So packages implies complete. I don't need anything else. So if you have 3 packages, people just see a package as complete. I'm not going to buy any more from you. It's complete. Call it a collection because the collection grows. So the way you speak to your clients, you can condition them into buying more by simply the words that you say. So I might say something like, my challenge is to take the most beautiful and meaningful photographs you can possibly imagine, not only meet your expectations but exceed them. Your challenge is to resist. I basically just said you're going to buy more from me, but in a positive way. It means you love what I do. So once you understand that, then the timing that you ask for, not even you ask, you're telling them. So most photographers, especially in this country, will have 3 collections. They call them packages, but we'll call them collections now. And then the first collection will be 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. That is a problem. Why? Because if they pick the middle collection, which they often do, and it's 6 hours, the bride will work out where she wants you to end in the reception and work backwards. I want you to the father-daughter dance and mother-son dance or whatever. That's at 10 o'clock, so let's work backwards. 4 o'clock, the wedding's at 5, so you've barely got 20 minutes with the bride. You've got to travel, you've got no time to create, you've got no time for the spouse. That's not conducive to storytelling. So for the quick win of getting the extra hours, as a minimum I do both coverages. An hour, if it's a heterosexual wedding, an hour and a half for the groom, 2 hours for the bride, ceremony, location portraits, and the first hour of the reception. They can add more hours in the reception, or the second collection gives them more time, or the third collection gives them more time again. So I'm saying to you that that collection is conducive of storytelling. So they don't tell me, well, Jerry, we'll give you half an hour to create. So we just think, well, the bride says we've only got half an hour between the ceremony and the reception. Well, have you allowed time for congratulating? Have you allowed time for getting a big group shot? Have you allowed time for family portraits? And have you allowed time to capture you at your best, immortalizing moments where you've never looked better, never felt better, and you with everyone in the bridal party? If you don't have any time, that's like going up to a surgeon, asking for a procedure, and the surgeon, like, let's say you need you've got to take a melanoma out, like you got to take a mole out or something. The doctor's not going to say to you, well, what time would you like to have for me to do this? The surgeon will say, this is a 2-hour procedure, hypothetically. If someone comes up to us and says, I'll give you half an hour, I can't tell the story in half an hour. So I say, if I've got any chance of only meeting your expectations but exceeding them, I need you to be ready at this time. So let's say the bride has to be ready 2 hours before she leaves for the ceremony, and she has to be ready by 11 o'clock. She's like, but the wedding's at 2 o'clock. This is the same woman who works in retail, who's got to wake up at 7 in the morning to get ready by 8, to go to transit to work by 9. But on your wedding day, you've had hair and makeup for 2 hours, and now you want me to capture you at your best, and you've got your hair and makeup done for that many hours, you've spent $1,000 on shoes, and you're not going to let me photograph you for more than 20 minutes? So I've sometimes said, now that I know what your expectations are, I don't believe I can meet them, let alone exceed them to my standards. So it's a valuable waste of my time, talent, and attention, your story, if you don't give me this time. So unless you, it's not an arrogant thing, it's just purely, I'm serving you. To serve you better, I need time. Yeah. And that's how we do it. So it's a long answer to the story, but I'm just giving you a glimpse of different things that many people know about. So plan for success, not for failure. Otherwise, you'll resent it and you'll spend your whole career chasing time and chasing people. But usually when a problem occurs, it's normally our fault. We haven't prepared for success. We haven't given ourselves time. We don't know what the story is. And then someone comes back and says, where's the one of me and Dad? Well, you didn't know that was important, or they didn't care about it. I mean, so we need to take the lead. We need to let them know exactly what needs to be done. And then my philosophy is you capture the natural magic, create magic of your own. Yeah.
Actually, that was a great answer because
it's a long answer, but I'm a bit chatty if you haven't gotten already.
Well, but I can totally relate to that because it completely and absolutely relates to headshots.
Sure.
Because sometimes you get a phone call, somebody, I want a headshot for $40, right? And you can decide whether you want to be that headshot photographer. Put him through the door, put him in front of the camera, take the snapshot, done, right? You could do that, or you can decide you want to be the headshot photographer who really wants to create meaningful images, right? Headshots have a job to do. They're not just passport photos. Sure. They need to sell an actor.
Sure.
They need to get that actor a job.
Yeah.
And in order for me to do that, I need time. And it's exactly the same proposition.
Yeah.
You give me the time, I create what you need. You don't give me the time, I might not be the best option for you.
Sure, and that's the thing though, is that we shouldn't even make excuses for what we're doing. So if someone says, I want a headshot, if you need an hour, tell them, just so you know, this session will be an hour. We will we'll focus on getting a clean headshot to basically sell you as a brand. We want to make sure that you look loyal, trustworthy, approachable, good energy. I'll give you an example. I did a headshot just 2 weeks ago. I charge a minimum of $2,000. It's expensive in that world, but I give them more value. I say, so when we get those clean headshots, then I want to make you look badass and do something more dramatic. So depending on the article that's written about you, we've got a clean, approachable headshot, but then I've got a friggin' badass, incredible shadow, dramatic. And this guy, he's a bit of a cowboy, so we had a cowboy hat. We did a whole plethora of images, and it turned out to be killer. So people come for one thing. It doesn't mean you just got to listen to them.
Right.
Perfect example. You're doing a boudoir session. Everyone, it's all implied nude and lingerie, whatever. I'm like, buy me a metaphoric drink first. Do a shot fully dressed, full, beautiful fashion portrait. Because most people are not going to want implied nude or lingerie on their walls because either they're religious or they're conservative, they've got kids, the people that come over. I'm like, give yourself somewhere to go and something to sell. Yeah. So I always get them in a high fashion portrait. We've already got trust because they've already booked me, but I build trust, and then we might do a shoulder, then we do whatever, and then it's just a slowly warming up to maybe something that they want. But I give myself an album to sell. I give myself many wall art portraits, and it's also building trust throughout that shoot. So I know when I verbalize it, for those who haven't heard this kind of thing before, it might sound simple, but it is for someone who knows.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I'm an artist, but also want to be a commercial artist. I want to sell my art. So I give myself extra reasons, an opportunity for someone to value themselves. In other words, you do a portrait, and you can say, if someone says, how much for a 16 by 20? It's one way of saying it. You might say, how much value do you place on your family's legacy? It's a very different way of asking it. Because we don't think about mortality. We're here and now, whatever. The minute someone dies, we all care about photography. Yeah. And I know that we're living in a disposable world where we dispose of images with our thumb, literally within a split second. So we have to practice what we preach, understand the importance of print. And I don't give my clients a choice. If it's a wedding or portrait, they do not get the file without getting a physical print.
Yeah.
They get the social media file if they get it in print, in an album or wall art.
Yeah.
If they don't, they're not getting it.
So there you go. It's getting very noisy around here. Jerry, that was super valuable information. I have a feeling that we should extend that into a full episode.
Yeah.
You up for that?
I would love to.
Fantastic, Jerry. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
And I'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you. We'll see you again. Thank you.
And that's me and Jerry Guionis, and we're back on the floor. Well, hopefully we are recording because I am here with Bob Coates. Bob, how's it going, man?
Oh man, the convention is great. I'm having a great time, and I'm hanging out with some people and making awkward family photos and sharing those. And then people they're now calling me Bob the Couch. You'll have to see the photos.
Yeah. So is that what you're doing here? You taking pictures of families up there? Or?
No. When I say awkward family photos, we're looking online through the year and finding these weird ass poses, and then doing them for giggles.
Because I remember that from last year. You were like jumping around.
That we were jumping again, and now I've actually got some height. We got one of the best height ones this time. People are like, dude, you got up there this time.
There's so much happening here. I mean, I can see there's like portrait photographers upstairs taking pictures of people. It's fantastic.
Okay, well that's our fun part. We when we're hanging out and going to the trade shows. Finding out about new gear. I'll be doing a little program on Photoshop at the Texas School booth on Tuesday for about 20 minutes, half hour, because I'm one of the Texas School instructors. Just going around making contacts, staying steady.
Yeah, that's always the fun thing about just shows like this in general, is that there's actually so much going on aside from just gear and booths and all that kind of stuff. There's education, there are fun things to do. It's just generally a good day out.
Yeah, well, I went to see Julianne Cost as she's always a fan favorite because on her videos online, they're very straight and she's very corporate. When she's teaching live, it is hilarious because she's nice and loose, and I find that when I teach, people retain more when they're laughing and they get a little bit of a break, and it's not just. And then we went to the some energy and some excitement, and that's what you get when you see people like that live.
Yeah. Julianne is actually who I had the opportunity to hang out with her a little bit last year in London, and when she's away from the cameras or away from the podium, she's an absolute hoot.
She's even more of a hoot as in person. Yeah, she's just such a wonderful person too.
And again, at shows like this, you have the opportunity to actually get to know people that maybe otherwise you only know from the screen or from like magazines and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what is the kind of standout thing in photography? Whether it's a piece of gear, whether it's a technique or a software or something. What is the standout thing that's caught your eye leading into 2026?
Well, I've started to produce videos for the PPA website, PhotoVision. And I've never been a videographer, so I'm kind of building up my thing. And matter of fact, you're using a camera here called the Pocket 3 from DJI. And I just ordered one. I'm getting ready to do that. But I've had follow me cameras when you put your iPhone on and you pair it with the device. It almost feels like I have a crew working with me. And then, of course, having microphones that sync up to your gear, then you're free. There's no wires, and being a new videographer, if you will, I'm now a full production house. So I set the subject, I go out and film myself, I take that stuff and edit it, and then do the production videos. Okay, so we were out here shooting the blah 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 blah, and now we're in the studio. When we shot those, this is why we did this way, and talk about the processing and how to go. So that's the content that I'm starting to build. One of the videos I have in production right now is on boondocking. So it's grinding my coffee and setting up the awning and driving and scouting out locations to boondock and hang out and be able to be in nature already. And that's, did I go off subject there?
No, absolutely. Where can people find those videos?
They're on the PhotoVision on the PPA website. Just look on there. If you're not a PPA member, people can subscribe to, I think it's $49 a year or $4.99 a month if you just want to, test the waters and see if you like it. There might even be a 1 month, check it out first. But there are all kinds of videos. There's, my stuff. There's a lot of portrait stuff, lighting. I think there's over 4,000 videos and a lot more in production.
Cool. So busy times.
Yeah, but I'm getting paid to do the stuff that I love. And it's like, oh my goodness, I am such a lucky human being.
Exactly. Unbelievable. I never thought that would happen, but here we are.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Fantastic. So, what else is happening at the show? So other than the expo floor, because there's always stuff happening around and on the fringes.
Well, there's ancillary groups too. I'm a member of the American Society of Photographers, so we had our awards banquet on Saturday night, and then meetings, of course, setting up plans for the following year. And then we're also going to have a late night lounge. What's today?
Monday.
Still Monday.
It's still Monday.
That's one thing that happens at conventions. It's like, I know there's a day here somewhere, but can somebody tell me what it is? There's the late night lounge where it's basically a party for ASP members and new ASP people coming in. Let's see what else. There's all sorts of little side meetings and companies showing their gear off in a different way. There's a thing called Networking Avenue at the beginning of the convention. That's already happened. And then of course there's the parties, the beginning entry party, which was last night, and then a closing party, which will be tomorrow night. So there's it's education, it's parties, it's networking. I really enjoy going to conventions.
And of course, these conventions, imaging is always in a really interesting location. Like we're in Nashville this year, we're in Dallas last year. And I noticed there's photo walks going on. You can sign up for and explore the whole place.
Yeah, you'll see all sorts of little pods of people going around with a model standing in front of them. And matter of fact, I was getting ready to jump into a photo on the way over.
Yeah.
I was more polite than that.
Cool. Bob, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time.
As always, my friend.
And of course, we will, I'm sure we'll have you on the podcast in the not too distant future.
Standing by to stand by.
I'm here with Jeff Carpenter. Jeff, how are things for you at the show so far?
They're great. Honestly, day 3. It's been a long few days, but yeah, it's been great. I always love these. It's a lot of stuff going on around us, but yeah, no, it's been great. And this is my day to sit and talk to people. So here we are.
Because you've been really busy teaching and demoing stuff for 3 days so far, right?
Yeah, I did a pre-con on Saturday, and then Sunday I did a couple of booth demos, and then Monday, it confuses me because it starts on Sunday. I have no idea what day it is. Tuesday, maybe?
I know.
Right? Yeah, so I did Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and today's my actually go see things day.
Cool. Tell me a little bit about your pre-con class, because we had a quick conversation about lighting, which I love. Yeah. So give us a little impression of what it was that you taught.
Yeah, so me teaching, I love teaching lighting. It's very much I always kind of focus on, here are the fundamentals as it pertains to one light. But this class was all about adding lights. I get asked a lot, I get the concept of one light and the fundamentals there with distance, direction, the shape, all that stuff. When I want to add a fill or separation or background, what do I do then? So this class was all about mastering multi-light setups and portraits. So we kind of focused on that. It was 2 different 3-hour classes. So it's a different group of people. Should have been the same class, but as classes go with me a lot, they ended up kind of being steered by the directions of the questions. So each class is actually unique in its own way. But yeah, so it was just kind of a great little class that I think we ended up with 5 lights was the most we did with one. So
it's one of the great things about imaging, actually, is the educational side of it, which I think a lot of people forget when they start to think about an expo like this, because I think maybe the first thing they think about is just gear, and gear.
Well, I think that's because so many expos and stuff, they are gear. But the one thing I love about imaging is that it's very education forward. So I feel like they put the emphasis on the classes and the teaching and the education. That's kind of the genesis of PPA anyway. So it's you have that first, and then you get the bonus of the expo. And the first time I ever came to this, I didn't have any. I didn't have a pass to the actual thing. This was back in, 10 years ago. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Yeah. But it was I lived in Nashville. It was in Nashville, so I came to it, but I just came to the expo because I think they had a free pass to the expo. So I came to it, and I was impressed about the education that I got just from the expo. And I was like, if I'm getting that there, what's this other, 3 days beforehand with the pre-cons, and then you got 3 full days of class, 6, almost a whole week of education to basically any track that you want. They had classes on dog photography, on kids, on high school seniors, on headshots, portraits, like anything you can think of. I know this time they had a guy doing real estate and landscape, anything you could possibly want to shoot. There's somebody teaching a class about it, which is amazing. So
and also across all levels. That's the other thing. I mean, there's always if you're a beginner and you want to learn how to use one light, or if you're fairly advanced and you want to step into multiple lights, there's always something. And even on the business side, there are always classes dealing with business related aspects, for example.
That's another thing too. I didn't even mention that. There's I feel like half the classes are business related, which that's the ones that I try and go to, because I can always, as an educator and a speaker, all the speakers that I know, we're going to classes with each other and still learning, because we're not doing ourselves any favor if we're not actively trying to. If we get complacent, you're gonna be stuck in the water, right? So I try and go to as many classes as my schedule allows. And I went to class. Can you see that dude? No. Ian Spainer. I went to his class this morning. So it's all about light meters, and it's always good to kind of get a refresh on stuff, even if it's something you quote know how to do.
Yeah.
You're not going to do yourselves any disservice to refresh your information there. So it's here it's just basically a bunch of live YouTube videos, but you can ask the questions, and that's the cool thing is you can go to people that you've seen on YouTube and all this stuff, and you can just sit there and have a conversation with them and be like, okay, what did you just do there? And you can actually implement it and apply it to what you do. As soon as people leave here, it's I kind of call it the church camp high. It's you leave and you're you're amped to go try all the stuff that you just saw. So it's an amazing experience. If you haven't come. But
but that's the thing. So even if you think, I don't want to go to an expo because I don't want to spend any money, remember that it's much more about all sorts of other things, like education, for example, that makes it worthwhile to come to a show like this, or TPS in the UK, or whatever it is, wherever you live. Now, gotta ask you one question though, as a certified lighting guru, for anybody who's maybe sort of starting lighting, starting to get into lighting, and maybe they think okay, well, I've covered one light. What is your pro tip when it comes to spreading out to multiple lights? What do people have to pay attention to?
So when it comes to adding multiple lights, it's the one thing I tell people that you have to ask yourself is, do you need it? Does it serve a purpose? Because there's a bunch of amazing portraits that are natural light, one light, So I feel like there is this, thing where it's if you want it to be really good, you just have to add to it. But sometimes you add to it and it takes away from the impact of the image. So I think really it's just a matter of making sure you actually need it before you start adding it. So it has to basically is it solving a problem? Is there a problem to be solved first? And then when you add that light, is that going to solve the problem or create a new one?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a matter of you're asking yourselves these questions. Obviously it's not you're not having this internal dialogue while your client's sitting there wondering what you're doing. But you do kind of have to ask these questions of, is it really going to achieve what you want it to achieve? Because, there's two types of images. There's the ones that we provide for our clients that are, at the end of the day, their decision of how they want them to look. It's our job to kind of get them there. But then there's the ones that are for us. So it's the more creative styled ones. But at the end of the day, it's, as far as incorporating multiple lights into a portrait, like me and you, it's just a matter of do you really need it? If you set it up, you got to take it down and put it away eventually. So
there you go. Perfect advice. Thank you so much, Jeff. It's been an absolute pleasure, man.
Thank you.
And hopefully I'll see you in a full episode.
I would love to be there.
Fantastic. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Take care.
Right. I'm here with Pete Coco, guest and friend of the show. Pete, man, how's it going?
It's going great, man. It's good to see you.
It's always good to see you. This is the one thing I love more than anything about shows like this is actually the people. And, although we live on different sides of the Atlantic, it's great to see you in person, man.
Yeah, we just spoke about it before we got on camera, but the thing that I love about this more than anything is connecting with other photographers and other creatives and all the positive support. It's just I'm feeling the love this week. It's awesome. I love it, man.
Yeah, this is a great thing about this. I've spoken about this quite a few times, with other guests and other people here on the show. It's really all about the people. You might think it's about the gear, but it's not really. It's also about the gear. We all love gear. Don't get me wrong, but it is about the people. What's been, and I know you've been speaking here at the show as well, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what's been your sort of most striking experience this year at Imaging?
I think this year I found that I've made a lot of new friends, and so right back to the people. There's been so many awesome, classes and work, just walking around and seeing other people's work. But I really connected with a lot of people this year, from not just from other companies, which is great, but just photographers who are inspired by something that I'm doing, and I'm inspired by something they're doing. I went on a great photo walk. Like, every experience has been just awesome. It's really been great, man.
I was going to ask you this. I know you texted me earlier that you were on a photo walk. How do photo walks work here at Imaging? Is it inside of the Gaylord or is it outdoors? How does it work?
Yeah, it was inside of this area because there's it's almost like a jungle for people that are watching. Like, it's pretty huge in here. So we were in the atrium. So there's a lot of trees and structures. So we just kind of walked around. There was a Fujifilm photo walk. Yeah, it was cool.
Awesome. I have to do that next. I forget to sign up to these things. Now, we're standing right in front of one of your amazing images. Tell me a little bit about this particular image.
So this is an actor and a dancer. His name's Brandon. He's in New York. And I've shot with him a number of times. And when we were doing he needed to do headshots. And so we wanted to try something a little different, something that was a little more fun, a little bit out of the box. So when he did this shot, I kind of spilled a little bit of the color. He came in with this cool sort of purplish shirt. And so I decided to spill some of that color on the background and contrast it with a little bit of blue. And I just had him kind of look off to the side, give me some cool expression. And there it is. So, yeah.
Okay. I love that shot. Tell me a little bit about, for those people who are interested in, the technicalities of things like this, this is a really narrow field, depth of field kind of shot. What kind of lens did you use for that?
So I shot this with a Canon R5 and a 50 millimeter, which I always shoot, almost always, at f1.2.
Oh, wow.
So I know I get a lot of flack for it from the photography police. They have a warrant out for my arrest.
Oh, no.
However, I've been avoiding them here. I see them and I duck and run because they're going to make me stop down to f8 if I'm not careful. But we're also in the white wall photo display, and so they printed this and some of my other images, and it's fantastic, the printing too. And so the thing that I love about the print is that it looks exactly like it's supposed to, which we know is hard to do, in photography. But I shot wide open, and my only rule is focus on the eye that's closest to the film plane. So as long as this eye is in focus, I don't mind if that's a little out, if his nose is a little out, it's cool with me. I think it adds to the effect.
Yeah, I love this image. What's difficult with shots like this, especially at 1.2, is the fact that very often you get the eye in focus, but then the minute you get to the eyelash, it's already falling off. And actually, even the tip of the nose, there's still it's falling off a little bit, but there's still a lot of clarity there. And the lips and the teeth are so striking as well. It's a fantastic shot, man. I love the smoothness of it and the colors. Amazing, man.
Man, thank you.
Cool. So now, you've been speaking here at the show as well. Tell me a little bit about your talk.
So I did a class yesterday on creating dynamic, kind of creative portrait class using continuous light. And a big part of what I focused on was a small beauty dish as a key light, which I love to do, which is probably what I use. I'm pretty sure it's what I use for this image. But I had like a 22-inch beauty dish with no diffusion. And I kind of taught the class how to use it the traditional, the right way. But then what I like to do is kind of move it around so the harder light is hitting the face. And it was awesome, man. And I really taught them a 3-light setup that I've been doing for a while. That my buddy calls the hero lighting. So I didn't make that up, but he calls it. I thought it's a cool name. And so it has a beauty dish key, hard light, and then I will add a background light like I did here, which I use an RGB Fresnel light. And then I just add fill to taste as we do. Yeah.
I tell you what we have to do. I have to come over to your studio at some point. You're in upstate New York. No, where you?
So I have 2 spaces. My main studio is on Long Island in a town called Garden City. And then I have another space that I share with a couple other amazing portrait photographers, which is in Clinton Hill in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I do a series, like a little mini-series called Inside the Studio. I've done one with Ivan Reis, for example, and Charlie Kaufman, and Scott Johnson, I believe. Check out those episodes. But it's always good to meet photographers in their natural habitat, as I say. So we definitely have to do that one time. That'd be amazing. Pete, it's always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much. And we'll definitely have to meet for a beer later, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
All right, cool. And with that, we're back to the floor. And this is it, guys. This is it from Imaging USA 2026 in Nashville, Tennessee. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you comment down below, like and subscribe, and all that lovely stuff. And remember, check out all the links in the description. If you've got any questions, please do get in touch. Love you all. This was an amazing time. I highly recommend you check out these kind of trade shows. You learn a lot. It's not just about gear, it's also about education. And we'll be back at the photography show in Birmingham in about 6 weeks' time. And remember, I'll see you next Thursday.